On? My name's Ryan. I play chess, put my videos on YouTube for you. Here I wanted to bring another analyzed game out for you. I thought that both of us played extremely well, and that's saying a lot for him, not to be cocky, but I'm a full 100 rating points ahead of him, and I thought that, for his first 25 moves or so, he played phenomenally. So I just wanted to, give a shout out to him and also analyze this game because I think it's really a sound positionally played game. So he started out, he had white pieces, I had black. He started out with the queen's pawn. I respond, and he gets into the queen's gambit. This is a good video to learn about how to, if you like the queen's gambit declined. I never like to take here simply because it gives up the center to him. So this is the queen's gambit declined. He brings his knight here to add more pressure onto this pawn. I bring my knight here. A common play is to bring the bishop right here to pin this knight. If I don't react to it right away, he can take the knight. I'd recapture with the queen. He would take here with the pawn. I'd take back, and then his knight would take back, and I'd be left in a very bad position. But that's just what white has in mind with this play. So he takes on right away, which, is not the end of the world, but it's probably, you don't need to take there. You can wait longer. So he goes on, pins my knight. I unpin. Couple development moves. I castle. He brings his bishop. And then, like in my other videos I've said, I like to fianchetto this light squared bishop. I think it's a really strong and important bishop in the endgame. He brings his queen out. I fianchetto. He castles. I bring my knight out. Trying to think why I brought my rook out. Why did I bring my rook out? I think I had dreams of moving my knight here. If he recaptures with the knight, then I can recapture with this pawn now, and fork the queen and the knight. He brings his knight to a semi-open, or his rook to a semi-open file, which is a good move. I want to restrict any counterplay he has on the queen side right now, since most of his pieces are aligned towards the queen side half of the board, whereas mine are slightly more centralized now. So this is just kind of a prophylactic move. I don't know how necessary it was, but it kind of stops the knight from going anywhere but backwards, as well as this bishop right here is now restricted to these three squares for the time being. He brings his rook over there. He's probably trying to push with his pawns, with the rook behind it here. I kick the bishop back, and then this is the move I like to play here, which, strikes at the center. Yeah, basically it just challenges the center and gets this pawn, eliminates it from this rook potentially. So he takes there. I take with the knight with the tempo on the queen, which I like, and also it allows me to connect my knights in the future here. Notice how these are both pointed at this square, which is a very important central square. So he drops it back one. I move my queen up because I wanted to connect my rooks and get my queen, my strongest piece, involved in the game. So he pushes that pawn like I originally said he was probably looking at doing. He wants to undermine this prophylactic move right here by, when I move my knight, probably push this pawn again. If I capture, he gets a nice spot for his knight with the tempo on my queen. Oh no. Where were we? Okay, so we're back to the original position. So I go ahead and go to this important square. It's basically forcing a trade. So he takes with the knight. I take back with the knight with the tempo. He's able to do a trade here, but I don't think it's in his best interest to. For instance, he could take my bishop right here, and then I'd be tempted to take back with the queen, and then he would take my queen, but then I would win a rook. So he'd be an exchange down in this variation if he takes on here. So he decided just to move his queen out of the way. And I get that bishop out of the way because I like this dark square bishop right now simply for the fact that this queen is on a dark square. And now I can also exchange a knight for a bishop and keep my bishop pair, which I go ahead and do that. He takes back, and I threaten the queen. Queen moves over there, and I do a rook lift, which is a very strong attacking move. Threatening this queen, I'm threatening of taking this pawn, because I have two attackers to his one defender. He's got to move his queen though, so he moves it there, which is I want this h6 pawn. It's a valuable pawn. So before I go ahead and take here with the rook, I do a simple defensive maneuver before anything else. And that's one of the things that you always have to keep in mind, is that even though your attack may be strong, you should always try to eliminate future moves with your opponent's pieces. And the queen being the strongest piece of my opponent's right now, I want to just take away that opportunity for him. He's kind of stuck now on this h-file with not much to do here. So you always have to attack smart. I think attacking smart is the same as defending smart, so it's just a balance in your play. So he goes ahead and brings the bishop right there, threatening taking my rook. I take the pawn like I originally talked about. Now this is where he starts to get a little bit desperate, I felt. He takes there with the knight. I think that he thinks that this rook, or this bishop-queen combo here is very strong, but it's not that strong. What's stronger is this queen here combo. So not only, I mean, it's a good move for me to take the knight, but I kind of had to at the same time, because if he would come down here with a check, he would win my bishop, and later on my rook. So I take there, and he thought about this move for a little bit and decided not to go in for the check here, because there's just nothing after I move my king over one. So rook is still sitting there. I might want to think about moving my queen in the next move or two, so I go ahead and get it out of danger. I just, trade there. I stop any counterplay with this bishop, and this is when things start getting kind of interesting. So I'm getting rid of this isolated pawn I have here. I think it's a weak pawn, and I'm tired of defending it with my queen. And also I want to finally open up some lines with this bishop. I told you that I like to fianchetto this bishop for a reason, and this is exactly why. So right now I'm only up 2 pawns, so it's a very close game. That's all I can really say. It's a close game. It's anybody's game at this point. So I didn't like this right here. This rook move. It's a great move by him. It stops me from taking this pawn because of this check right here with a discovered attack on my queen. So I move my queen out of danger, and I invite an exchange of queens. Now, rule of thumb, I think, is that you should never exchange when you're down, and he doesn't, which, I respect him for not exchanging queens in this circumstance, because, it's just hard not to. But so I get my queen out of the way. I get my queen out of the way because I have a feeling that he's not going to take my queen for the reason I just explained. And now I'm on the king side with a nice check over here and a connection with the bishop, which I end up being able to execute. So he moves it over here. I decide to take that pawn. He takes back with the queen. He can't take back with the pawn because it's pinned right here. I offer another trade, which this trade he probably should have taken because of the following sequence of events. He probably should have seen this, but so he doesn't trade again, which I respect. And he's threatening my bishop right here. I deliver a check, and he moves his king there. I take here with the queen. This bishop is now protected, and he moves his bishop here. What he should have done is probably move his rook down here. Actually, that's probably his plan. He couldn't have done it with the bishop right there. But I'm allowed to come in with the bishop now and check the king. Moves out of the way. I go ahead and take the rook. He takes back with the king. Instead of taking this pawn right away, because I like to keep checking as long as possible, always. So instead of just taking this pawn right away, which allows him to, get a free move in somewhere, I check the king and make him come back up to this square. And now I take, and now the king moves behind its bishop, which is a mistake. It's a mistake because now I'm able to execute a pin in which he cannot defend with his queen, and checkmate is quick, or is soon to come. So I thought that at this point I'm up +6, so I've got a pretty comfortable lead. Anyways, he resigned here, and I just thought that this was a nice example of some solid Queen's Gambit play. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a good day, and good luck in your chess play.